Hey, how you doing? I just want to talk about Gangstalking Monsterhood and everyone that you know has been turned into a monster. Everybody you know is part of the Gangstalking movement, and they're all under control. They've all been taken over, and basically, from the information that I've received, is that no one's alive. Is that there's not many people alive left, and you know, I'm one of the only ones in my area where I live where there's nobody left alive and things. They're all walking zombies. They're all walking zombies out there in the Monsterhood program and things like that. And they want to put a target on you. They want to put a ton on you and things like that. And you know, no one can stand you because you're alive. You're a human being and things like that. You're a conscious human being. And we're all under attack. The whole world's under attack for that matter. And in the Monsterhood program, they just turn everyone against you. It doesn't matter who they are, strangers to your own family members and things like that. There's no one left that's alive. They're all zombies and things like that. They're all mind controlled zombies and they've been taken over. They've been body snatched. They've all been body snatched, and there's nobody. They're not real people. They're all a bunch of actors and things like that. Relationships you have with people you socialize with, all gets flushed down the toilet because of gang stalking and things like that. They're very, very. Most people are all evil and things like that in the world. You know, um, the Monsterhood program is designed to kill you and things like that, and take over your body and take over your mind and things like that. You become one of them, or you don't make it out alive and things like that. And you just got to fight this program the best you know how. Use your logic, use your spirit, and things like that. Just that's all I can say. Is we're in a spiritual war. We're in a spiritual battle and things like that. You know, all you got is like your beliefs in religion and God and all those kind of things like that, and who you're up against. You're up against the evil adversaries and things like that. And you need to study to show thyself approved and things like that, to know what's really going on in the world and stuff like that. You know, you've got to you've got to study. You've got to understand that these people, they're all zombies and things like that, and they're all monsters and things like that. You got to understand that it's called monsterhood. And it's it's the whole world. The whole world is like monsterhood and things like that. You know, right now I'm probably attacking you through the technology that they're using now. The technology that I'm using now, they're probably using me to attack you, gaslight you, and things like that as well. You know, all the information that you're receiving is corrupted. All the information in the world that you're receiving is corrupted, and it's only to bring you down as a person and things like that. They don't want you strong. They don't want you prepared and things like that. They always want you scared, living in fear and things like that, running for your life, and always trying to break you down and things like that. That's what the Monsterhood program's designed to do. It's designed to kill you and stuff like that, and turn you into a zombie and things like that. You just got to make yourself strong, like, if I can describe it that way. It's very difficult. I know it's hard, like so many people against you and stuff like that. You just got to learn to be alone. You've got to learn to face this shit alone, and just like do your best as a person to use your logic and reasoning and things with people and stuff like that. You got to be able to read people's minds and things like that to understand what they say to you and stuff like that. They're just gaslighting you every second, every moment. You're being attacked. There's people in my room right now attacking me. They're always under surveillance and things like that. They want me to live across the road and stuff like that. And I'm supposed to be the father of children and things like that. I'm supposed to be a father and everything. I did something to the fatherhood. I did something to their sisterhood. I did something to their monsterhood and things like that. They just make all these excuses and try to blame the victim that we've done everything wrong and things like that. And when we've just minding our own business, sleeping in our beds and things like that, taking care of our families and all kinds of things like that. And they just relentless, attacking you and things constantly and stuff. I get stabbed in the rectum. I get my genitals stabbed. Like they burn me, they stab me, they do all those kind of things. Daily most of the time and things like that. When I'm walking and things like that, they stab me in the back and all kinds of things like that. So I can't walk properly, I can't talk properly, I can't think properly. They make me forget things. They make me forget things all the time and stuff because they gaslight me. They gaslight me in the conversations, and I forget what was said and things like that 5 minutes ago. I can hardly remember what I say 5 minutes ago and things like that because they're always attacking me on every level and things like that. And the Monsterhood program is the biggest fucking evilest program that's ever been designed on humanity. You understand? It's the biggest sellout fucking program and stuff like that. They don't want you to turn over. They don't want you to turn over. They don't want you to stand up for yourself. They don't want you to rise up. They don't want you to, be like them. They don't want you to, they want to break you down and things like that. They don't want you to have any control over your life and things like that. They want to take away all your privileges. They want to take away all your opportunities and things that you have. For instance, like I can't even work because my attacks are so bad and things like that. They're always attacking my genitals and stuff like that, giving me headaches, back pain, or stab my feet, all kinds of things like that, so I can't move around properly. Like I can't move around properly and work physically properly and things like that because they torture me all day long and do all their tactics on me and things. You know, most people aren't real. They're all like predators and things like that. They've got a predatory behavior of a predator and they're out for blood. They're out for your life and things like that. Everyone for that matter. They can't wait to put a ton on you. They can't wait to fucking just make your life a living hell and things like that. They just want to drag you down. They just want to, discredit you, you know, abuse you and things like that. That's what that's what they're like. That's what they're like, these gang stalkers. They're gonna gaslight everything you say and do, everything, follow you around everywhere, everything that you say and do. It's all being recorded and things like that. They're all like fucking attacking you on every fucking level. They want to chop people's heads off, things like that, and not let you turn over, not let you stand up, put a ton on you, things like that. Have you for lunch. They want to have you for lunch, all kinds of things like that. That's the type of things that I hear every day on television, on the internet, all kinds of things like that every day. The Monsterhood program is real. These people are zombies. They're all mind controlled. Okay? Everyone has been turned into a zombie, turned into a monster. With me, I'm the only one that's left alive, you know what I mean? And nobody wants to know the last person. Apparently if you're the last person, they don't want to know you. You know, that's how they've programmed it for me. The way they've done it for me is that I'm the last person in my fucking area and things like that. I've been targeted for over 20 years and they've run all kinds of psyops and operations on me, all like for years and years, trying to isolate me, trying to separate me from my own family, trying to isolate me from my friends and everybody, so I can't like hang out with friends and hang out with family and things and talk to them and properly and things like that. You know, they hate you. They literally hate everybody. They hate you. They hate everyone. You know, they don't even like themselves and stuff like that. They can't wait to zero. They can't wait till zero. There's a big countdown to zero and things like that. And they can't wait to just basically like destroy everybody and, you know, get rid of everybody on the world. There's nobody left in Australia where I live and things. There's not many people left. And, we're fighting basically for our lives. We're fighting for just food on the table. We're fighting for like our lives and things, for a roof over our head, things like just the basic necessities and things like that, a shower, a toilet, things like that. We're just trying to just have a life basically and things like that. You know, they want to take away everything from you. They want you to be homeless, sleeping in the gutter, sleeping in your car, things like that, on the run, running for your life. They always want you panicking, running for your life. They don't want you to use your logical thoughts and things like that. They want you to basically just keep being abused and things like that. They just want you to they're always trying to kill you and stuff like that, threatening your life and things like that. They tell you you'll only last a bit longer and things like that. You're only going to last a little bit longer, and that they'll say to me and things like that. You know, because there really is nobody left. Soon there'll be nobody in the world that's left. They'll everyone will be completely taken over or dead or in jail or something like that. And there'll be nobody left to talk about gang stalking and things like that. Everyone's a zombie and in the monsterhood and stuff like that. And it needs to be spoken about. This invisible like whole system, this invisible system is on top of us, controlling like humanity and things like that. It's an invisible world that's on top of ours and things like that. That's governing our world and things like that. And they're trying to destroy our world. They're trying to destroy all the people here, our way of life, our way of thinking, our consciousness. They're trying to transform us into something else, a demon, a monster, things like that. And you know, they want to have people for lunch. They want to chop your head off. They want to put a ton on you and things like that. They want to mind control you. They want to discredit you. You know, every day I have to go through it. Every day I have to go through it for 20 years, non-stop. It hasn't been a good ride for me. Like I can't even work for a living and things like that. It's that fucking bad. It's that bad. I talk to doctors and things like that all the time. And, because I'm always in pain and things like that all the time. And they're attacking me constantly and things like that. And, yeah, you got to understand there's nobody left alive. They don't want to know people who are alive and things like that. They're always going to attack people who are real, who are fucking real, who actually have their own consciousness, who are like human beings and things like that. They're not zombies. They attack human beings and things like that. They can't wait to pull you apart. They can't wait to fucking kill you and things like that. That's their logic. That's how they think. That's how these gang stalkers think. They don't want anybody here. You know, People don't want me on my street. Like people on my street don't want me here and things like that, because they're all gang stalkers. They're all monsters and things like that. Is because I'm not a monster and stuff like that. And they're gonna make your life hell if you're not a monster and things like that. I even get followed on the toilet with these fucking people, and I shit, I piss with these people, I shower, I do everything with these gang stalkers. They're always constantly watching me on my dick, up my ass, and things like that constantly. The Monsterhood program is the realest program that you've ever seen. It's the most sinister, evil program that's probably ever been created since Babylonian times and things like that. Sodom and Gomorrah and things like that. You know, it's we're living in those cities. We're living in Sodom and Gomorrah. We're living in Babylon. You know, the world is run by demons. This world is run by demons and things like that, and they're controlling the masses of people. You know, and AI is involved, all kinds of technology and things like that. They're utilizing on us every day, and everybody's a zombie. Everybody's programmed and things like that. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about Monsterhood, and there's nobody left alive. They're all zombies and things like that. So take care. Watch yourself out there. Watch yourself out there, man. It's very dangerous out there. What they do to people, they put targets on people. They do everything they possibly can to make your life a living hell. Everywhere you go, you'll be hounded. You'll be abused. You'll be abused by these people. You'll be gaslit. You'll be attacked everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, every country, every state, it's just all taken over. It's overrun by these monsters and things like that. And they're just going to attack you. They attack everybody, these people. They attack their own mother. They attack their own father and things like that. Believe me, you know. And, you know, your brother's not your brother. Your sister's not your sister. They're all changed. They've all changed their character. They've all given them different identities. They've all give your friends and family different identities and things like that they go by and stuff like that. They try to call me Nathan the Rock Spider. They try to call me Matthew, all kinds of things like that. And they're trying to take over my life. They're trying to run my life and things like that. Tell me what to do and things like that. And I've been fighting this for over 20 years and things like that. Just being assaulted by these fucking people constantly. And I've been everywhere. I've spoken to everyone about it, and I've just given up because everyone is a monster and things like that. Because, you're only going to get yourself locked up and things like that. The more you talk about it, they try to make you look crazy when you talk about monsterhood and things like that and gang stalking and things. They're only going to try to lock you up and try to have you killed and stuff like that, set you up, and put a target on you and things like that. And the more you talk about it, I just want to give people the information out there about monsterhood, and that it's real. And, you're not crazy. You're not alone in the world. There's not many of us left. And just like take care of yourself, pray to God and things like that. You make it through every day, you know, ask for God to give you the strength, to give you the courage, to give you the wisdom to fight for your life, to fight for your way of life and things like that. Because all you got is your life, man. In the end, it's all about survival. It's all about survival. Just been a human being out there living in your neighborhood. It's dangerous just living in your neighborhood where you live and things like that. Do you understand? Your friends and family, everyone's in danger. Everybody's in danger. They're planning a massive catastrophe in the future. Believe me, they're planning something big this year, next year, 2030. All those times we're gonna see disasters that like we've never seen in hundreds of years, thousands of years. We're gonna see types of disasters you've never seen before. You know, they're gonna murder the mass people in the masses. They're gonna murder people in the masses, and they're gonna make it look like an accident. They're gonna make it look like some sort of natural disaster and things like that. When it's the demons that are clearly behind it. They're controlling the weather. They're controlling everything. Believe me, our food, our education system, everything. They're controlling the lot. You know, everything we do and say is being monitored. It's being controlled. It's being predicted. It's being like predictive programming, all kinds of things like that. You know, everywhere you go is being analyzed. You're being like scanned. You know, they track and trace everybody in the world wherever you go. You know, your smartphone is basically a tracking device and things like that, and they can follow you around everywhere you go. They can track you in an instant, you know, and you think you're alone, but you're not. Somebody's always listening to you. You know, you think you're alone in your room and things like that, but somebody's always listening to you. They're always watching you. They're always monitoring you and things like that. Everything you say and do. And with that being said, take care of yourself. God bless you.